Welcome, everybody, to our new episode of Rethink Life. Truth identifies reality. So, to kick this off, the discovery of atomic action, revealing the true nature of matter, substance, to be mind, and the theory of relativity as existence only in relation to a thinking mind are specific examples of the spiritual evolution taking place in human thought. Metaphysics might be defined as the science of concrete forms of consciousness. When the belief or abstraction is given up that the substance and life are in the picture, reality forms in human thought. Concrete forms of consciousness appear to one's view. Mind is the basis from which the scientific metaphysician or spiritual psychologist approaches his world. A book written from the mind, capital M, standpoint does not offer any substitute for original thinking. Such a book forces the reader to be mind, capital M, that is, to discover the ideas in the book are within himself, within himself as himself.
Yeah.
The scientific metaphysician exercises his power of reason, paying little attention to words and what he has thought they meant. Thus, he furnishes his own digestive juices for the assimilation of the idea. There is no liking or disliking and no agreement or disagreement about the fact that the earth is round. Nor is there liking or disliking or agreement or disagreement about the fact that every word written and read identifies the God idea unfolding in and as individual consciousness. That was a mouthful, Betty.
I know.
So you want to go through any of that and bring it into layman terms?
Well, there are certain knowns that don't require a lot of mental gymnastics, like the earth is round, you know. So when we come up with saying the earth is flat, immediately what happens? You say, that's not true.
Right.
So you base what you're thinking on what you believe is real.
Right.
So if it's verifiable to others, then they believe you. If it's not, then they think, I don't know about her.
Right.
So we really do operate within the realm of what we believe is true.
Okay.
And so the same thing is true in metaphysics. But with metaphysics, you prove it to yourself all the time, or you know that you're walking on swampy territory.
Right. So when we say truth identifies reality, we're talking about truth, capital T, not what we think is true.
That's right. The truth that it's a synonym for the God idea.
Okay.
Identifies reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's dive into some of these quotes then. Now, for those of you who are here, if you have any questions at all, just type them into the comments. We'll bring them up. Ask your questions. Otherwise, it's all on me. Okay, so we'll bring them up and you can ask anything you want. If you're willing to support our live stream and make a donation, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps us produce all of these things when we get some contributions. So if you're loving this, feel free to contribute and donate. We're a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. And that would be great. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in. Now we're looking at What is the Idea, which is a booklet that we've been looking at for many episodes now from Margaret Laird. And on page 82, she starts with, the mental picture of a flat earth presents itself, and then goes on to say, because of what is known, one's identification reaction to the idea, the thing itself, is one's identification reaction is to the idea, the thing itself, not the abstraction.
Right.
So if the mental picture of a flat earth is not true. So we're saying that my identification to the idea is to the idea of it, not the abstraction of it. I'm not quite sure I follow what we're trying to say here.
Well, what she's trying to say there is that because of what you know, you identify with the idea rather than the words. So if somebody comes along and says the world is flat, what you know is that that's not so.
Mm-hmm.
You identify with the idea, not with the words.
Right. Okay.
I don't know whether that makes it clear to you or not, but keep going.
All right. If knowledge be your guide, you pay no attention to words or symbols, which is what you just said.
Yep.
So it's the idea of, okay, I'll try and go with that. Now, in Science and Health, on page 505, starting on line 10, the divine mind, not matter, creates all identities, and they are forms of mind, apparent only as mind. So there's a typo in there, but just disregard it. Put the R right there in the middle. So the divine mind, not matter, creates all identities, and they are forms of mind, apparent only as mind.
Yeah.
So all matter is forms of mind, is essentially what that's saying. That what I look, see, hear, feel, taste, touch may look real, may appear real, may, whatever. Here's my laptop, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's all forms of mind.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure. The ideas of spirit are never apparent as mindless matter, nor the so-called material senses.
Yep.
So the ideas of spirit, like, what are we talking about? The ideas of spirit, anything?
All is infinite mind.
Oh, got it. Right. So we can't touch all is infinite mind.
You can't touch it, feel it, see it.
Taste it.
Yeah. It has no sensory quality.
Because it doesn't exist in language.
That's right. But that's not really true.
Okay.
Language doesn't exist.
Right.
So what we see as language is not the look of mind. It's our point of view.
Got it. Yep. Okay. All right. Now, Mind is the Athlete on page 184, you wrote it like this. You said, spirit, truth, declaring itself, shows up looking exactly the way the perceptual world and everyday people, places, and things appear.
Yep.
So that is the seen, heard, and felt, whatever we perceive in our circumstances, the seen, heard, and felt realm, it shows up looking exactly the way it does to us. And because the way the perceptual world and everyday appear, because it's declaring itself. It's saying, here I am.
Well, those are words saying that what I'm looking at in the language appearance in the physical world, the language I look at, the seen, heard, and felt every day, all of that stuff, it looks exactly the way it looks because that's the way I see the reality that is spirit present functioning.
Okay. And it's the only way I can see it right now.
My view is not your view.
Great.
The way you see it is unique to you.
Great. Okay. Okay. And just because I see it that way right now doesn't mean in the next moment it will continue to be that way.
You will always be seeing it as you perceive it.
Got it.
And that shifts all the time.
Okay.
So you're right. It will always be shifting a bit, even if it's microscopic. It's always shifting.
Okay. Every phenomenal thing present points to being seen the only way it can be seen.
Yep.
Said another way. Okay. Now, on page 82 of What is the Idea, Margaret Laird wrote, knowledge is like a conveyor belt, transporting you to a new thought world.
And she loved that idea, just the image, a conveyor belt transporting you.
Right. So you're just sitting up there, riding around. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a thought world that's been sitting there waiting for you. It's one that's generated as you enter because you're making it as you go. Margaret used to say, don't try to fix the world. You're making it as you can't do anything about something you're making.
Right. Right.
It will change as you change because
Right.
you'll be making it as you are. And you
Yes.
do that all the time. We are the world we walk through because we make it as we go.
Okay.
You don't look like you understand that, do you? Am I
I
not?
do. I do. I'm good with that. I'm good with that one.
Okay.
You leave the world of reality for the world of illusion or unreality when science or knowledge is not your eye, not your seeing. So when you buy the picture, you're down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Right.
And saying, oh dear, why did this happen to me?
Right. Because you're trying to figure out in the language what the cause was, and you can't get there from there.
That's right. And it's an intellectual exercise not related to what's actually going on.
Right. Okay. Clear. So don't do that, anyone. Don't do that. Okay. In Science and Health, on page 285, line 16, Mary Baker Eddy wrote it this way. She said, the belief that a material body is man is a false conception of man. Because that which sits in a chair doesn't think.
Nothing that sits in a chair can think. That's right.
Right. Whether it's a dog, a cat, or a man, or a woman, or a child.
Or a tree, or a flower, or a vase.
Well, I don't really think about trees, flowers, and vases sitting.
You don't?
No.
Well, sit the vase on the table.
Right. Okay. All right. There you go. Okay. So the belief that a material body is man is a false conception. So how many times do we fall into thinking that's all real? And my question really is, and when we do fall into that and we have an owie and the owie persists, is it because we bought the picture? We're buying the picture? Or is it just the owie appears and it's like, okay, so what? And we just keep going? It's just like, and we just identify, well, if that's my best view of reality, so be it. On we go.
No, because that isn't, if I said what we need here is a purple crayon,
Right.
and you went up and looked at the array and couldn't figure out which was the purple crayon, and you grabbed one, it doesn't mean that I have to sit and put up with a yellow one or a blue one or a red one. I just say, not that one.
Right.
And then you say, this one? Not that one. And finally you say, wait a minute now, she wants a yellow one.
No, a purple one, you said.
Mm-hmm.
You said purple.
Purple. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you begin to look at those words and say, what are they saying to me? If it's not this one, it's not this one. Let's see, what is it? It provokes you into thinking through the abstraction of the words to the idea. What does she really want here? And that's what gives you a little edge called a beginning of understanding.
Uh-huh.
It isn't just any old crayon. There's one that fits. So then you begin to understand that it isn't just any old. Do you begin to see what all of that is about?
Kind of. I mean, I don't really care about a box of crayons and whether it's purple or not. I mean, either it's going to exist or it doesn't. But I was saying, like, if I have an owie, say my heel, for instance.
Yeah.
And it's given me a problem and it gets very, very tight in the calf and blah, blah, blah. And I've been living with this way for months. And then every now and then it feels better and I go for a long walk and then it tightens way up. And then I think that was not a good idea, although I want the exercise.
Okay. You have been identifying with your heel as something that needed to be fixed, right?
Well, I suppose I have. I mean, I've been through all kinds of different places with my heel over the months.
Okay. So the temptation as a human being is to fix the heel.
Yes.
Science says, forget that. That's not to any purpose at all. The real fact is that I don't live and move and have being as a two-legged animal with or without a heel.
Right.
So there's nothing there to have feeling. Feeling is not rooted in this two-legged thing that I call my body.
Right. And intellectually, I understand what you're saying. But in reality, I think, okay, so I'll go for my walk because I want to be able to walk and stay in shape. So I go for my walk, and then that causes problems. And then I have a really hard time hobbling around because I did that and I pushed it. And then I try not to push it and it still does it. So then I think, okay, I'm not going to walk for a while. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like,
Caught
okay,
in that, what do you call it?
loop.
Endless chain of
Right.
reactions.
Right.
You will go from bad to worse.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I just got to let it alone and do my thing and take no thought.
No, it isn't that you let it alone. It's that you are having a demand on yourself to say, who am I? Do I have a heel? Do I live and move and have being in this two-legged thing I see in the mirror? Or is it telling me that all is infinite mind? Never mind what it looks like in the mirror, because that is not the seat of feeling. Being is the seat of feeling. And if that is not being, it doesn't have any feeling at all. Do you see? The thing is, you can call all of that an intellectual exercise if you want, but the acknowledgement of the facts doesn't come from Betty. This is mind speaking when facts are being stated.
Right.
And when you live the mind speaking instead of the facts that you believe are Kim, you will find some freedom. It isn't fixing the heel. It's not being present as anything but mind that frees you. And it looks like Kim.
Okay.
Do you get some of that?
I think so.
Okay.
But we have a comment. Let's see what the comment is. So Brian says the witness consciousness of the God idea beyond good and bad, but not passive and removed. Want me to read it again?
The witness consciousness of the God idea.
Beyond good and bad, but not passive and removed.
It's never passive and removed.
Right. And he
Well
said
said.
that. He says it's not passive and removed.
That's right. Thank you.
But he
Excellent.
says the witness consciousness of the God idea beyond good and bad.
It's a self-witnessing.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Brian. That was good. Okay, and keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming. All right. Doop, doop. Now, where was I?
I think you're ready for Eddie, page 285.
285, line 16.
Yep.
All right. The belief that a material body is man is a false conception of man.
Exactly what we've been talking about.
Right. So let's go on to the comment or the more discussion. The time has come for a finite sense of the infinite and of a material body as the seat of mind to give place to a diviner sense of intelligence and its manifestations.
Intelligence and its manifestations.
Right. Not what I said?
Yeah.
Intelligence and its manifestations.
The time has come for a finite sense of the infinite. So what's actually present is the infinite.
Right.
Okay, want to give up the finite sense of that and of a material body, same thing, as the seat of mind. It's not the seat of mind. It gives place to a diviner sense of intelligence and its manifestations.
Oh, got it. So I got it. So it's basically saying give up that finite sense and the thought that you have a material body as the center of everything, causing it all, and give that up to the divinity presence and that sense of intelligence and manifestation that comes from and sourced by the divinity that's present.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what it's saying?
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm going to celebrate. All right. Clear as mud, really. Okay, and in Mind is the Athlete on page 186, you write, we are mental beings right now.
Read the note that goes with it.
What you entertain mentally and perceptually has significance for you in determining your daily experience. Yes, the same thing happens with my heel because I think about it and then it determines my daily experience.
Know my heel, the body that thinks it has a heel. It's not mine. It's a belief about it.
Right.
It's a figment of my imagination.
Right. That's why I'm saying what you entertain mentally and perceptually has significance for you in determining your daily experience. So if I believe that I've got a deal going on with my heel or my Achilles or whatever, and I think about that and I entertain it mentally and perceptually, then it's going to be significant in determining my daily experience. Whether true or untrue, it's still going to determine my daily experience, correct?
Yep.
All right. So I need to cut that out.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It isn't a matter of just cutting it out. You need to displace it with the fact.
Right.
That I
Acknowledge.
live, move, and have being mentally.
Right.
All is infinite mind.
Exactly.
And
I couldn't have said that better.
All right.
All right. I'm serious, Mom, not just giving you a hard time. All right. So, and what is the idea on page 83? Margaret Laird writes, if in your reading you have not been aroused to think originally, you are experiencing your individuality just as unconsciously as you did before you read the book.
Yes. If in your reading you haven't been aroused to think originally, that's the preface.
Right. I got it. I like it. Because I like in Government is Self-Government, no, in Christian Science Re-Explored, at the very beginning, she says this is a challenge to original thinking.
Yes.
And so if you're not aroused to think originally, well, then you're just thinking just like everyone else.
Yep. And the note says that. Did you read the note?
Oh, no, here it is. Let's look. Your language is original, spontaneous, and functional. Is that it?
No.
Huh?
Under 83. This means you will continue to have suffering for your enlightenment instead of science.
Ah, I missed that. Did I miss that? 18. This means you will continue to have suffering for your enlightenment instead of science.
Yes, if in your reading you've not been aroused to think originally,
right?
You will continue.
Right. So this is what it should have said, everybody. That's what it should have said. And then more discussion. Okay.
Now you're ready for Mrs. Eddy's statement.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not in the right spot today. All right. So in Science and Health on page 285-28, Mary Baker Eddy said, through knowledge of science, seek to learn, not from matter, but from the divine principle, how to demonstrate truth as the healing and saving power.
Yep. Very good.
Right. Okay. And then she went on to say, the understanding of truth gives full faith in truth, and spiritual understanding is better than all burnt offerings.
Yep.
So give up the burnt offerings. No more candles. What do they mean by burnt offerings? Just a figure of speech?
That's back in the days when they had superstitions and
got it. Okay.
Rituals and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. It's just a side question. Okay, now you in your book on Mind is the Athlete on page 75, you wrote the experience of health, wealth, and happiness occurs reliably as being or consciousness is acknowledged as source. So this is the acknowledgement is the critical piece here.
Yep.
Just acknowledge. Nothing may change in the picture.
Yeah.
In fact, it may not at all ever, who knows, but acknowledging source frees you up.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm reminded of Merton, is it Thomas Merton, that wrote that which acknowledges is God is God.
Right.
So if you're acknowledging the facts of being, it's mind speaking. It's not personal.
Right. Okay. And whenever there is no conscious commitment to the discernment of the facts, by default, the fickle paradox world dominates the appearance world of existence.
Yep.
Yeah, because if we're not consciously aware, acknowledging truth,
That's right.
then we're off in la la land somewhere,
That's right.
wondering why it looks this way. And it is. It's as much good as it is bad, right as it is wrong.
It's a paradox world.
Exactly.
The language picture,
Right.
which has no substance and no capacity to satisfy
Right.
or fulfill.
Yeah. Got
It's
it.
just the point of view.
Okay. Any other questions by anyone else out there? Any other statements or questions? Enter them in. This is your last chance. Anything? If you've enjoyed this conversation, for maybe as confused as I was during this whole thing, because I asked a lot of questions, but if you enjoyed this session, it made a difference for you in your thinking, give us a heart or a like, a thumbs up. That would be awesome. It helps us get more exposure so other people get to see our videos. Anyways, all right. There being no questions showing up, I will end this episode. Thank you very much for attending, and we shall see you next week at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. Take care. Keep identifying truth. Keep acknowledging the divinity present. Don't get caught up in the ankle or the heel or whatever it is that might be giving you grief. Just let it be. Acknowledge the truth and walk on. All right, you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks, Mom.
Bye-bye.